हिडिंबा के प्रेम भर त्याग ने उसे इस संसार में पूजनीय बना दिया। इसीलिए कहा जाता है कि हमारे कर्म ही जीवन का मर्म होते हैं। नियत ही नियति निर्धारित करती है। ऐसी महान हिडिंबा देवी को शत शत नमन।
She is strong, she is loyal, she is compassionate, she is courageous. She is Goddess Hidimba, warrior, mother and guardian, who has inspired us to embrace both power and grace in our lives. Tonight we are also reminded of the importance of resilience, courage and self-discovery. Let's take a moment to appreciate the hard work and dedication that went into creating this mega event with a huge round of applause for everyone. From classes pre-nursery to class 12th for a magnificent show today. Exuberance, awakening the spirit within.
The end of one chapter marks the beginning of another. As we come to the culmination of exuberance, awakening the spirit within, the annual function of session 2024-25, remember that the memories we've shared will forever be etched in our hearts. Tonight, we close this chapter, but the stories we've shared will continue to inspire us all. As we draw the curtains to this memorable evening, it is time to extend our deepest gratitudes to all those who have made this event possible. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. So now I request the President of the Student Council, Ms. Sulakshana Guha, to propose the vote of thanks with grateful acknowledgement.
The miracle of gratitude is that it shifts your perception to such an extent that it changes the world you see. Good evening, everyone. I, Sulakshana Guha, President of the Student Council, stand before you with great honor and gratitude to deliver the vote of thanks on this special occasion of exuberance, awakening the spirit within. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt appreciation to our esteemed special guest, Shri Vishwas Sarangji, and our chief guest, Shri Kavish Seth. Your presence here inspires us all, and your words of wisdom will resonate with us for years to come. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to grace us with your presence. I thank Shri Harimohan Gupta ji, Shri Abhishek Mohan Gupta sir, Shri Sanjeev Saxena sir, and Shri Nitin Ambaselkar sir, Dharam Verma sir, and other respected dignitaries from various institutions. I'm deeply grateful to our beloved Madam Principal, Madam Vice Principal, Madam Headmistress, our academic coordinators, and our incredible teachers. You are the heart of this institution. Your passion for teaching, boundless patience, and commitment to excellence will light the way for every student, enabling us to discover our potential and build a bright future. I would also like to thank our organizing committees, including the music, art, and dance departments, for working tirelessly to ensure that today's experience was nothing short of spectacular. Lastly, to the support and administrative staff, your dedication ensures that every event and every day at DPS Kolar runs smoothly. Your behind-the-scenes efforts are invaluable, and we deeply appreciate everything you do. To my fellow students, your energy, creativity, and enthusiasm bring life to every event and make DPS Kolar a truly vibrant community. Thank you for your hard work, and congratulations for making this day a success. As we bring this beautiful evening to a close, let us carry forward the spirit of excellence and unity that defines DPS Kolar. Together, we can continue to make our school a beacon of pride and inspiration. Thank you and have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Sulakshana. Three cheers for the students and teachers of DPS Kolar. Hip hip!
Progress is the ultimate goal, and we will make it happen together.
Lovely show. I love you all. I love you all. I'm so excited.
अवसर पर मैं बस इतना कहना चाहूंगी
I
कि
hand
हमने
over the
ज्ञान,
mic
कला और सांस्कृतिक गतिविधियों के माध्यम से अपनी प्रतिभाओं को प्रदर्शित किया.
Thank you, children.
जो निश्चय ही भविष्य में
Now
कहीं ना
I
कहीं हमारा
hand
मार्ग
over the
प्रशस्त
mic
करेगी।
to our respected Pro Vice Chairman sir for his inputs and feedback.
Hello, can you hear me?
फिर
Am I
आज
audible?
सा चांद हो आकाश में, फिर तारों भरी कोई
Only,
शाम हो।
only 3 words which will spell out this spellbound moment. Magnificent, majestic, and meaningful.
Thank you, sir.
Whereas Pollyanna has given a positive vibes, positivity in any negativity, and Hidimba gives you selfless service. And that is what we human beings should be. And that is what our motto of this school is also, service before self. That's what was depicted in Hidimba, and that is why I approved this episode. Negativity to positivity. Thank you so much, all the teachers, all the students, all the actors. You acted so well. It went so well and very good, very meaningful. I'll request the chief guest to speak out on this, just few words.
ये तो माइंड ब्लोइंग था. हिडिम्बा वाज फैबुलस. मतलब बहुत ग्रेट जॉब.
Abhishek sir, wherever you are requested to come near the stage. Abhishek sir, Akanksha Bhabhi, wherever you are requested to come to the stage. Abhishek sir, please. आ जाओ कम.
Hello.
For the director of this,
I would like to call
Hidimba.
upon Sahil ma'am and her team. Sir wants to talk to you. Please come up. Sahil ma'am and her team.
the copywriter as well.
She's everything. She only wrote the script. She only presented. Abhishek sir, आज तो 2 शब्द बोलने पड़ेंगे आपको. आपने तब बोल तो दिया. सर आपके बोलने की बात है. आप appreciation.
My compliments to all writer, the script writer, and as well as directors. It was well directed play, no unnecessary parts.
Milind sir, Mukesh Ribati and his team.
Director, you are a director. You all beautifully directed, and I will compliment you on that. And the
Pollyanna.
dialogue writer also. I already told you about Pollyanna.
Pollyanna team.
And both were very, very, very
Mukesh
good.
Ribati sir
Both
and his
were, both.
team. Pollyanna, please come forward. Magical tree.
Okay, go.
Magical
good.
tree.
Very good.
It was very
बोलो कैसा लगा? जाओ अब बच्चों को रिलीज करो. बच्चों के लिए
सर
पेरेंट्स खड़े हुए हैं.
फोटोग्राफ सर ऊपर आ जाइए बच्चों के साथ जरा फोटोग्राफ
को रिलीज करो.
I request the parents kindly step back a little, please. Your wards will be handed over from the school building.
फोटोग्राफ ले लीजिए अभी सारा ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ.
Sir, ladies and gentlemen, kindly please.
Our
Ladies
humble
and gentlemen,
request
a
to
humble
you
request.
to shift back a
Kindly,
bit.
kindly, please.
Humble request to shift
We
back.
need a group photograph. It won't be possible. You are delaying the departure. I request parents, kindly step back, please. Thank you. You are our most esteemed
सब आ जाओ program.
parents.
Anuragi
Please
ma'am, call your team.
kindly listen to my request.
Kindly shift
I
back.
request parents,
kindly go towards the building. Your awards will be handed over from the classroom after signatures. I request the parents. I request all parents.
With the kids, please.
All parents, dear parents, kindly. All dear parents, humble request. Kindly step back, please. And please go towards the main building. Teachers will be handing over your students after the signature.
पूरा कवर होना चाहिए ये पूरा
I request parents to kindly step back.
अच्छा दोबारा से पे पूरे ओके
नहीं आप बोलो हम चिल्लाएंगे माइक है दूसरा माइक
Here, sir.
हेलो
3 cheers for DPS
Hip hip!
Hooray!
Hip hip!
Hooray!
Hip hip!
Hooray! God bless you children and teachers. Keep up with good work.
The orchestra was also very, very good. Very rhythmic. Very good. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
झंझनाहट से जल्द आराम पाएं सेंसोडाइन रैपिड रिलीफ के साथ।
Great. It's a pleasure to have Dan Sotolongo from Snowflake come and present this lecture today on Snowflake, which is obviously, as we've talked about in the class before, one of the first system to recognize that when you move to the cloud, you need to completely re-architect what a data warehouse looks like. Dan has given a couple of talks here. He gave a talk very recently on how Snowflake's considering integrating streaming databases into Snowflake. And he's previously given a talk on dynamic tables, and you can find those on YouTube. So without much ado, Dan, the floor is yours. Go for it.
All right. Thanks, Jignesh. So yeah, I guess, what Jignesh said, we're here to talk about Snowflake. Sorry, there we go. I'll start with a quick intro of myself. I like working at the intersection of like databases and programming languages, distributed systems. So Snowflake is a pretty natural fit for me in terms of my interests. In terms of my current role, I work on the data pipelines team, where I'm the tech lead of the transformations area. And as Jignesh said, I work on dynamic tables primarily, although there are a few other things that I work on from time to time. Before that, I worked on streaming systems at Google, and before that, I was working on data infra at Twitter. So I've been in the data space for a little while now. But that's enough about me. So I guess I wanted to start at the highest possible level. I mean, obviously, this is a database class, but it's good to set the context of what we're talking about. And specifically, that is distributed data storage and processing. So we're kind of working under the assumption that all of your data doesn't fit on one machine, or possibly all of your processing doesn't fit on one machine, or both. Usually it ends up being both, right? Oh, and by the way, not sure how, but wait, actually, did we lose? No, okay, Jignesh just turned off his camera. If there are questions, Jignesh, feel free to jump in and interrupt me.
Yeah, we will do just that, and I'll turn the camera on so that you can see us too, which maybe will help, but I'm gonna try and not take too much of the screen space here. Go for it.
Okay. So yeah, multiple machines. So we're firmly in the distributed domain. But we're also focusing on analytics. And so that means we make assumptions about the workload that modifications will tend to come in bulk, not kind of trickling in the way you would expect for transactional processing. And the queries tend to be more complicated and read lots of data. So that's the context. The setting, though, we're rewinding the clock, right? Back to when Snowflake was first introduced. So think about, we're back in 2010. The cloud is really just getting started. AWS exists, GCP exists. I don't actually know if Azure exists yet, probably. But usage is pretty small. And there's a lot of skepticism in the market about, will this cloud thing actually be important? And so in the data warehousing space, it's kind of dominated by what I would say are like the usual suspects. We've got like Oracle and IBM, SAP, Microsoft, as well as a couple of like more focused companies. Teradata and Vertica are both kind of specific to data warehousing. I grabbed a Gartner analyst report from 2011 to show their magic rectangle thingamajig that kind of gives you a sense of like, there isn't really cloud stuff on this. Like Redshift doesn't exist yet. Snowflake just getting founded. But the interesting thing about this is pretty much all of these databases were built as the shared nothing architecture. And so this is kind of a traditional approach to handling distributed data processing that dates back to the 1980s, probably before then. The basic idea, I'm sure you all are familiar with it, is you have some machines and you need to kind of distribute your workload among them. And the way you do that is you partition up your data among those machines. And then when queries come in, you partition up the queries among the machines according to how you partitioned up the data. And the machines can kind of communicate with each other as needed to kind of move data around. So shared nothing as a way of approaching this problem has some really nice properties. It's kind of resource optimal as long as you distribute your workload uniformly across the machines and that workload is stable over time. So those are two kind of important properties because you kind of tied the location of the data to the actual machines in the cluster. If that's true, then you get really nice locality benefits. You can do a whole lot of processing locally on each machine and minimize the amount of kind of inter-machine chatter that you have to deal with. But the kind of trade-off to that is if you want to add more machines or you want to remove a machine, you have to move data around because the data kind of lives on them, right? And so generally you try to minimize the amount that this happens. And we'll talk about how these assumptions kind of played out in practice. But suffice to say, there were a whole lot of arguments in the past about like all the alternative architectures that you might use. You've probably heard about them. There's like shared disk and shared memory and various approaches that are still kind of in use for certain applications, but they're not dominant or they weren't dominant at the time in the way that shared nothing was.
राजा आओ ये देखो मैसेज कहते हैं वीडियो लाइक करके 500 रुपया रोज कमाओ बस पहले थोड़ा पैसा दे के ललचाएंगे फिर बोलेंगे कि और कमाना है तो पैसा भरो हम दिन भर चूना लगाते हैं और ये लोग हम ही को चूना लगाने चले हैं पान वाला हूँ मूर्ख नहीं हूँ याद रहे यूपीआई कहता है कि अगर कोई आसान कमाई का लालच दे तो कहो मैं मूर्ख नहीं हूँ
So let's talk about why this architecture decision even matters in the first place. Fundamentally, like the thing we'll focus on primarily is the way that architecture choices constrain the way you can allocate resources. So we've been talking about workloads, have been pretty abstract about it, but you can pretty easily imagine that resource demands change over time. And depending on the workloads that you actually want to satisfy, you might have like lots of spikes, you might have very smooth traffic patterns, you might have periodic patterns of like daily, nightly, or weekend, weekday. And what it comes down to is because the architecture constrains the way you can allocate these resources, you can either save or spend a whole lot of money depending on what these constraints force you to do. And so we can think about this distributed data processing and storage problem as a resource optimization problem. Obviously, there's a whole lot of additional like engineering that goes into it, right? But if we kind of ignore all of that and just focus on the resources, we can think about the workloads that we have, each of which have resource demands over time. Each of those workloads have some value to the business that is kind of driving the workload. Because remember, that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're trying to drive value with the database system. And the goal is to find some resource allocation that will maximize the return on investment, right? The resources cost money, but we're getting value from the workloads. And we want to find some nice point where we only take on workloads that kind of give us positive value, right?